I've made a lot of games over the past 5 years, and most of them are kinda trash. Back during 2020, I was stuck at home due to a tiny little pandemic that was happening, so naturally I decided to use this time to delve into the world of game dev and begin my journey. I'm just kidding. No, actually I just played games. Like, a lot of games. In fact, I played so many games that I got bored of just playing games, but I didn't know what else to do, so I began playing more games while also having YouTube up next to me. So I ended up basically just watching tons and tons of YouTube while playing with a controller in my hand and while my brain slowly turned to mush. Until I stumbled upon a video of someone learning how to make a game for the first time. And then I watched another, and another, and then I did something truly terrible. I made one. Before we get into that though, I'd really appreciate it if you could wish list Timeless Rain on Steam using the link in the description. Every wishlist helps it perform better in the Steam algorithm, which in turn helps support me making games. It would really mean a lot. Thank you. My first game was one that I actually didn't finish. See, I had just started watching Danny, who was making a 3D platformer at the time, and decided to have a crack at it myself. Unfortunately, I can't open the project anymore, so all I have is a little bit of footage, but overall, it was meh. It didn't have any visuals specifically created for it, so it was very much just prototyping graphics, but the movement was fun enough, and most importantly, it started my game dev hobby. As I was working on it though, it became clear that it wasn't going to get finished anytime soon, and I wanted to finish a game sometime soon, which takes me to my next one, Heart Attack. Heart Attack was my first game that I published. It was made as part of a small game jam where you had only a few days to create a game from scratch. In this game you have to defend a heart from incoming viruses for a given period of time. And overall, I'm very happy with Heart Attack considering it was my first game which I cobbled together in a very short period of time. I only created 2 levels for it and it lacks sounds, so playing it is a little awkward. But ignoring that, I think the movement and shooting is actually quite fun. But I wasn't done with game jams just yet. My next game was called Consume Them, which I created with my friend, and it's the first game that I actually consider to be quite solid. Just don't listen to the soundtrack for too long. I made it myself, and it was my first attempt at creating music, alright? I tried my best. The game is about transforming into environmental objects to overcome puzzles. I actually still enjoy playing this one occasionally. It's a nice chill game, so long as you mute the music. As a side note, I made it so you could move around the main menu, and I remember thinking that this was the coolest thing ever. After that, I moved on to Halloween Hopping. Actually another one that I still think is solid. The game revolves around jumping from small planet to reach a house in time so you can get sweets from it. It was a Halloween game, so... The planets took me ages to get working, but it feels really good to play still. Plus the sound effects are literally just me with the pitch amped up. However, that is the end of good games for a bit. I next worked on Hatred, which was made in 3 hours and revolves around you moving a little character out of the way of incoming enemies for as long as possible. Though you could easily cheese this by just keeping the character at the bottom of the screen. It's about as good as you expect a 3-hour game to be. This next game single-handedly caused me to stop partaking in game jams for a solid 1.5 years. Don't grow. To be fair, it's not totally the game's fault that I hate it. See, when I made the game, I was also making my first Steam game, which we'll get to later, so I couldn't dedicate the time I wanted to make this one, which resulted in an ugly game which I was so embarrassed about. The idea is to switch to the same colour as the balls just before they hit you. The main thing I hated though was the awful grey background and the lack of anything interesting to look at. This felt like a major step back even from the 3-hour game. So I didn't publish a game for over an entire year after this one. In fact, the next game I released was one that I made for my A-level computer science project, Left Side Right. Left Side Right was a game where you must change the direction of gravity to navigate through the levels. As you can see, the graphics are very minimal, but I don't think the style is too bad as I think it uses actually quite a nice colour palette. It's kind of fun to mess about in, however it can be quite hard at certain points. This takes us to my first commercial game, Forever Alone, See, after I released Consume Them, I began working on this game throughout all the other projects. And after 2 years in development, I finally released it on Steam. Forever Alone is a game where you must use your powers to look and travel into other realities, while you try to find comfort after losing your mother. So around a pretty cheery game. Plus, you're a cat. But in all seriousness, this is the longest game I've made, and it's one that I'm immensely proud of. The difficulty is very hard though, so if you do play it, just be warned. After this, I left for uni, where I made my next game as part of a society game jam. Ice Makers was actually the first of a few Jigsaw style games that I would want to make. I really enjoy this type of game, and it's also really stress free to make, which is a nice change from some of the other projects. You can tell I hadn't yet ironed out the act of connecting pieces, but hey, at least it's not Don't Grow. This got me back into game jams a little, so I wanted to make my next game as part of one. Until I Leave, while nothing inherently incredible, holds a special place in my heart. I really focused on simple graphics, as you can see, but I wanted to capture the mood, which I think I did. However, the real reason I like it is because I tried to do something I'd never thought I'd ever do. I wrote a poem. I was inspired by Please Don't Touch the Artwork, and thought that I'd give something similar a go. The core idea is you try to find an exit to a maze that is your house, and all the while you reveal this poem. I actually think it's one of my favourite projects I've done. After my first year at uni, I created How It Feels to Lose Your Mind, which is an atmospheric jigsaw game. The idea is you slowly go crazy from remaking the same picture over and over and over again until you literally make a picture of a knife and then take the knife out of the picture. Not gonna lie, I was actually quite proud of that one. This project took a couple months to make, but I'm definitely glad I put in the hours. The main fatal flaw is that the pieces have to be close enough together for the game to register it as complete, but you don't know how close that is until the end of the level, so there's a bit of frustration if you reach the end of the level and then have to shuffle the pieces around and move them closer together. The next two games were ones I made with another friend, Bunking Off and The Old World. I did these for game jams over Christmas and Easter during my second year, where he created the art while I did the coding. I'm really happy with Bunking Off as I think it's very humorous, and I like The Old World, especially the dark atmosphere that we created. Gasp is the game I made at the end of my second year, and I also quite like this one. It's got this watercolour art style which I was trying out with this game, and I think it ended up looking pretty good. But the development was not fun. Over several months, I went through 3 different versions of this game before landing on this one. It was originally meant to be a platformer before I added some puzzle elements, before just totally turning it into a point and click style game. It doesn't really have much of a plot, as it was meant to just be mostly random bits and bobs from the past year, presented in a sort of strange way, but I think the outcome was pretty cool. The final game I released is Scratched Hand. This is the game I made for my 3rd year project, in which I had to create an AI that you play against. It's a card battling game where you play up to 3 cards to damage your opponent, but you can attack them on 2 fronts, physical and mind. All the cards attack the opponent's physical health aside from mind cards, which are also played slightly differently. Mind cards are placed on top of an opponent's card and deal both mind damage as well as applying some effect to the card beneath. The AI is cool, and this game got me a good grade, so I'm pretty happy with it. That takes us to now, when I'm working on my second commercial Steam game, which has been in development for the past 3 years while I made some of these smaller games. It's a 2D Metroidvania called Timeless Reign, where you must manipulate time while you travel through the world. I've got some past videos on the game and a trailer on my channel, so make sure to check that out if it sounds interesting to you. I'd also appreciate it if you took a minute to wishlist the game on Steam, as that helps support me making games. There'll be a link in the description. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.